smoke. Wanna pop, let it blow. All survival from the cold, represent the whole world.
Hey love, welcome to the ChiLove radio show. I missed you all. We're here with Pop Radio Worldwide, the one and only iHeartRadio and Spotify Premium. ChiLove radio show is sponsored by ChiLove LLC. I'm going to start this show today saying Ashe to Kobe Bryant, Gigi Bryant, Alyssa, John, and Carrie Altobelli, Christina Muser, Peyton Chester, and Ara Zobayan. These were the people who lost their lives Sunday in California during a helicopter crash. Kobe and Gigi, we know that these are famous names, their son and daughters. There were families who lost their lives yesterday. So I just want to give a moment of silence to them. Ashe to their living spirit. Hugs to their family. And we all love you all, and you all have our support from Chicago to ChiLove. Here we are here in ChiLove. We're going to go into the business of the week. This business of the week, we are honoring Pop Radio Worldwide and Chicago Elite Alliance. That is ChiLove Radio's pick of the business of the week. If you want to get your photos and have any photo shoots done, email chicagoelitealliance@gmail.com and book your session. We have our mentor of the week, Mr. Marlon DJ 211 Johnson. Now, DJ is in his name, so obviously he works with the music. But he was picked as the mentor because he mentors our urban youth. If you go on his Facebook page, Marlon DJ 211 Johnson, you will see pictures of him coaching basketball, the KOR basketball team, the Inner City Team League hoops, Wolfpack basketball, in football. He always has a group of children around him that he is advocating for, fundraising for, and just helping, especially with the young black boys these days, urban boys these days, need a mentor. So for him to do all that he is doing and still take his time out to deal with a variety of children within our communities is honorable to me. So ChiLove salute to you, Marlon DJ 211 Johnson. So let's talk about what's going on in the Chi. I opened up talking about Kobe Bryant's death. And if you go on the west side of Chicago to the United Center, you will see a tribute of Kobe Bryant at the United Center. The Chicago Children's Theater debuts Wake Up Brother Bear at the Pritzker Family Studio. The city's south and west sides are set to receive a $20 million investment to encourage development in long-distressed communities, according to Mayor Lightfoot. You can learn to box in Chicago at the Celtic Boxing Club. We are still looking for Kiara Coles. So if you have any information, please alert the proper authorities. Also, you can pay a $100 fee to get a peddler's license to become a legal weed man.
Say that again. Say that again, and then, you know, we're all about awareness, power, and education. A lot of culture around here, Pop Radio.
Yes.
And I do want to say, As the CEO of Chicago Lead Alliance, thank you very much for the recognition.
You're welcome.
That was very dope. But please enlighten us some more. So for $100, you get a peddler's license to be able to sell some reefer.
Yes.
Okay, indulge. Give us a little bit more information on this.
Since it is legalized now.
Yes. Y'all listen, everybody tuned in to Pop Radio Worldwide, ChiLove. She said, for those who went over their head, now that marijuana is legal, just like they peddle, I thought that was very interesting. And the people are going to really pay attention if you give my voice a little bit on that. So, you get $400 a peddler's license to be able to push marijuana just like you do rags and incense and candles and all. Okay, listen to ChiLove, y'all. She gonna teach you.
Now you must understand that if you owe the city anything,
your
fees must be paid before you can be approved.
Just like anything else, like a passport or whatever. IRS gonna get that money before you go to Santo Domingo and anywhere else with that passport.
Yes.
They want their charge.
Yes, they do indeed. And the taxes at the dispensaries are too high, and they thought that legalizing it was going to minimize the black market.
Ooh, I knew there was going to be trouble.
Yeah, seriously. So instead of trying to, put people in jail or conjure up more cases on people, you got $100. We man. I know you got $100. Take care of your fees. Go down there. Get your legit business going for yourself. You can now be a businessman or a businesswoman. And of course, there is plenty of business for that. So the money should be rotating and pushing through Chicago quite nicely.
Right, it's enough for everybody.
Yes, it's enough for everybody.
Yes.
So I just want to give a shout out to Mayor Lightfoot, because she has come in and she's really listening to the people. And we will be back momentarily with the ChiLove radio show, Pop Radio Worldwide, iHeartRadio, and Spotify Premium.
I done did a lot. You ain't this.
Welcome back to the ChiLove radio show, Pop Radio Worldwide, iHeartRadio, and Spotify Premium. So this is 2020, the last Monday in January, and we've been talking about taking the mask off. Getting to know who you are, connecting with your innermost being, connecting with your God self, elevating, discovering yourself, watching who it is that you have around you, and so forth. Just peeling back each issue like an onion. So, okay, we got the situations where we are looking at ourselves and seeing what needs to be altered and so forth. And then we went in with the relationship with those that we have around us. Now let's talk about fear. Because people talk about it all the time. How many people are willing to do something about it? A lot of people don't improve themselves because of fear. You're conditioned to behave a certain way, to respond a certain way, and you don't know how it turned out if you responded in another way or didn't respond at all. Fear. A lot of times we are afraid of what we do not know. We don't know how it's going to turn out. But you want to know something? That's part of the unpredictability of life. That's part of the adventure. And one of the greatest things is the fear of self. That might sound crazy. How can you be afraid to be you? Easy. Easy. Through labor and pregnancy, the womb, the fetuses were reconditioned with the trauma. And it was generations told that they were nothing. So easy. So when you come out into the world and you aspire to be what you see on TV or read about or whatever, somebody had already implanted in you that you were nothing. And that these people were special, but it was nothing that you could do. So So now, over time, you start to switch up who you are and how you are. Because people are telling you who you should be in a good way and in a bad way. We walk away from our higher selves the more that we walk into the world. We walk away from our higher selves the more that we walk into the world. The more that we become conditioned by who the world tells us that we should be versus us getting to know who we are, what we like, what we don't like, why is that, what was the source from it. Like, it's, you know, I know it sounds tedious, and it is.
You've been watching somebody.
But it's worth it.
It kind of be a little too deep for pop. Whoa, right, okay.
It's worth it.
I had to really ask you about that. Okay, I get you now.
Because you want freedom. Don't we all want freedom? How many of us are living in prison because of our minds? Because of the way that we think, our perceptions of life, our perceptions of others, because we were taught that it was supposed to go this way, whereas they were taught that it was supposed to go that way. So now we have to look to popular vote and what society says and what the masses say is what's good, and then you try to, assimilate to that. All the time disconnecting with your inner self. You putting on a mask when you at work. You put on the mask when you at school. Hopefully you take the mask off at home, but some people get the mask off at home. You gotta put on a mask just to walk down the street. Especially here in Chicago. Nobody wants to look soft. Now, growth requires change. And that could be scary. And you can say, I've tried some things before. And that's fine, and that's good, and I'm proud of you for trying some things. But ultimately, you don't stop until you find what works for you. What works for you that will have you living in your ultimate truth. This can be mentally damaging if you go in too deep and really forget who you are, because you switching up so often depending on who is in front of you. When you look in the mirror, do you recognize yourself? You need to ask yourself, why am I afraid of being who I am? Why am I afraid of living out loud with whatever sexuality I truly prefer? Why am I afraid of stepping outside of cultural bounds because I really like this type of music or this type of atmosphere over here? Why am I afraid of this? And you consider these questions. Was I told that I'm nothing? Or that I wouldn't be anything? I see quite a few Facebook posts sometime, and people are saying they were told that they were going to be nothing. Some mothers, you might tell your child, or fathers, and you don't get along with the other parent. So now you're telling that child, you ain't going to be nothing just like your daddy. And depending on the situation that your father is in, he may be lacking, and you feeling like, put you in a hurtful situation because it's still your dad. But at the same time, your mom calling him nothing and saying you gonna match his walk. So over time, sometimes you start to just accept that you were told that you're not gonna be anything. You don't even expect anything of yourself. You don't even want others to expect anything of you because you don't even believe that you can follow through. Or at some point, they're going to realize that you're not as hot as they perceive you to be. Were you treated as if you were nothing? People who you value, their opinions that you value, tends to really take root in you. And we have to be careful on how we speak to each other. Even in anger, you say something. Sometimes you need to go back and correct and say, I was speaking out of anger with that. Because you never know what lasting effect it will have on somebody. And I know that it's called self-esteem, and it's the way that you feel about you. But we all impact the way that we, view ourselves and so forth. So you have to ask, were you treated as if you was nothing? How did that really impact you overall? Sometimes you don't even realize that it did impact you, but if you sit down and take a look and look at the habits that you started to pick up, the certain behaviors that you started to engage in, you kind of walked in alignment with what somebody was saying to you or how they were treating you, making you feel as if you were not enough. Were you called weird or outcast? That makes a lot of people feel uncomfortable about being themselves in front of others. Were you laughed at for expressing yourself? You could have picked up something that you thought was just really cool, and you went to school with it, and everybody laughing. But you liked it. So now are you going to continue to walk in your truth because this is something that you like? Or are you going to revert back to what the population says is cool and not cool and hide that part of yourself? Did you get in trouble for expressing your true self? A lot of times you get in trouble for expressing your true self. Discipline, the Willie Lynch law, it's my God, the conditioning. So now this is the part of you that was trying to blossom, it got pushed back in instead of somebody teaching you how to utilize that energy in a way that's going to be beneficial to you and beneficial to others. And we'll be right back at the ChiLove radio show. I'm going to let that marinate. You all can think about that on Pop Radio Worldwide, iHeartRadio, and Spotify Premium. I'm back.
I done did a lot. You ain't did shit at all.
Welcome back to the ChiLove radio show, Pop Radio Worldwide, iHeartRadio, and Spotify Premium. So this is 2020, the last Monday in January, and we've been talking about taking the mask off. Getting to know who you are, connecting with your innermost being, connecting with your God self, elevating, discovering yourself, watching who it is that you have around you, and so forth. Just peeling back each issue like an onion. So, okay, we got the situations where we are looking at ourselves and seeing what needs to be altered and so forth. And then we went in with the relationship with those that we have around us. Now let's talk about fear. Because people talk about it all the time. How many people are willing to do something about it? A lot of people don't improve themselves because of fear. You're conditioned to behave a certain way, to respond a certain way, and you don't know how it turned out if you responded in another way or didn't respond at all. Fear. A lot of times we are afraid of what we do not know. We don't know how it's going to turn out. But you want to know something? That's part of the unpredictability of life. That's part of the adventure. And one of the greatest things is the fear of self. That might sound crazy. How can you be afraid to be you? Easy. Easy. Through labor and pregnancy, the womb, the fetuses were reconditioned with the trauma. And it was generations told that they were nothing. So easy. So when you come out into the world and you aspire to be what you see on TV or read about or whatever, somebody had already implanted in you that you were nothing. And that these people were special, but it was nothing that you could do. So now, over time, you start to switch up who you are and how you are. Because people are telling you who you should be, in a good way and in a bad way. We walk away from our higher selves the more that we walk into the world. We walk away from our higher selves the more that we walk into the world. The more that we become conditioned by who the world tells us that we should be, versus us getting to know who we are, what we like, what we don't like, why is that, what was the source from it. Like, it's, I know it sounds tedious, and it is.
You've been watching somebody.
But it's worth it.
It kind of be a little bit too deep for pop, Joe. Whoa, right, okay.
It's worth it.
I had to really ask you about that. Okay, I get you now.
Because you want freedom. Don't we all want freedom? How many of us are living in prison because of our minds? Because of the way that we think, our perceptions of life, our perceptions of others, because we were taught that it was supposed to go this way, whereas they were taught that it was supposed to go that way. So now we have to look to popular vote and what society says and what the masses say is what's good, and then you try to, assimilate to that. All the time disconnecting with your inner self. You putting on a mask when you at work. You put on a mask when you at school. Hopefully you take the mask off at home, but some people get the mask off at home. You gotta put on a mask just to walk down the street. Especially here in Chicago. Nobody wants to look soft. Now, growth requires change. And that could be scary. And you can say, I've tried some things before. And that's fine, and that's good, and I'm proud of you for trying some things. But ultimately, you don't stop until you find what works for you. What works for you that will have you living in your ultimate truth. This can be mentally damaging if you go in too deep and really forget who you are, because you switching up so often depending on who is in front of you. When you look in the mirror, do you recognize yourself? You need to ask yourself, why am I afraid of being who I am? Why am I afraid of living out loud with whatever sexuality I truly prefer? Why am I afraid of stepping outside of cultural bounds? Because I really like this type of music or this type of atmosphere over here. Why am I afraid of this? And you consider these questions. Was I told that I'm nothing? Or that I wouldn't be anything? I see quite a few Facebook posts sometime, and people are saying they were told that they were going to be nothing. Some mothers, you might tell your child, or fathers, and you don't get along with the other parent. So now you're telling that child, you ain't going to be nothing just like your daddy. And depending on the situation that your father is in, he may be lacking, and you feeling like, put you in a hurtful situation because it's still your dad. But at the same time, your mom calling him nothing and saying you gonna match his walk. So over time, sometimes you start to just accept that You were told that you're not gonna be anything. You don't even expect anything of yourself. You don't even want others to expect anything of you because you don't even believe that you can follow through. Or at some point, they're gonna realize that you're not as hot as they perceive you to be. Were you treated as if you were nothing? People who you value, their opinions that you value, tends to really take root in you. And we have to be careful on how we speak to each other. Even in anger, you say something. Sometimes you need to go back and correct and say, I was speaking out of anger with that. Because you never know what lasting effects it will have on somebody. And I know that it's called self-esteem, and it's the way that you feel about you. But we all impact the way that we, view ourselves and so forth. So you have to ask, were you treated as if you was nothing? How did that really impact you overall? Sometimes you don't even realize that it did impact you, but if you sit down and take a look and look at the habits that you started to pick up, the certain behaviors that you started to engage in, you kind of walked in alignment with what somebody was saying to you or how they were treating you, making you feel as if you were not enough. Were you called weird or outcast? That makes a lot of people feel uncomfortable about being themselves in front of others. Were you laughed at for expressing yourself? You could have picked up something that you thought was just really cool, and you went to school with it, and everybody laughed at. But you liked it. So now are you going to continue to walk in your truth because this is something that you like? Or are you going to revert back to what the population says is cool and not cool and hide that part of yourself? Did you get in trouble for expressing your true self? A lot of times you get in trouble for expressing your true self. Discipline, the Willie Lynch law, my God, the conditioning. So now this is the part of you that was trying to blossom, it got pushed back in instead of somebody teaching you how to utilize that energy in a way that's going to be beneficial to you and beneficial to others. And we'll be right back at the ChiLove Radio Show. I'm going to let that marinate. You all can think about that on Pop Radio Worldwide, iHeartRadio, and Spotify Premium.
I done did a lot. You ain't did shit at all.
Hey love, welcome back to the ChiLove Radio Show, Pop Radio Worldwide, iHeartRadio, and Spotify Premium. We're talking about fear, conquering fear, and connecting with yourself. So we're talking about facing fear, asking yourself certain questions to realize why you're not comfortable with being who you are. Why haven't you dwelled deeper into finding out who you really are? So there were questions that we were asking for you to consider to realize why you are the way that you are. Were you told that you won't amount to anything? Were you treated like you were never enough? Did they call you weird? Were you the one bullied? Were you the one laughed at and mocked? What made you go into a shell and become uncomfortable with being who you are? Did you get in trouble for it? It's vital to learn this, because the more that you dwell into self and realize who you are, there is freedom here. There's a freedom in this. You are doing an injustice to yourself and to the rest of the world, because we all have a purpose. And a lot of times people are dying, just losing their lives, never really tapping into their purpose because they never took this time to find out who they were. It was talking about trying different techniques to see what works for you, what is effective for you, what can become like second nature, so that you can be comfortable being who you are. As long as you keep yourself hidden, you're on guard all the time. Like, I can imagine that's uncomfortable. You always on guard because you have to keep up this unnecessary lie. You have put on this facade for whoever it is that you're around. So whenever you're around these people, whenever you're in this situation,
the mask. You tell them again. You talk about the mask, right?
Mask. Take the mask off. You're putting on the mask. This way, you're putting on the mask. Whoever, you're constantly just putting on the mask. It's needless. It's unnecessary. One thing that I have taught my children was that your real friends, although they may be different from you, will accept you for who you are. Some of my longest lasting relationships, we are like night and day. But I respect them and they respect me. We don't always agree with how each other move, but we're there for each other. Your real people are going to say, you know, that's who so-and-so is. It won't make you feel like you need to pretend and put up a facade that something is going on in your life that isn't really going on, or you got this type of status that you don't have, or whatever. Because a lot of times those people who be expecting you to have all this clout ain't got much going for themselves. So, take it off.
Take the mask off.
Take it off. Like some of you little Chiracians in the summertime when it's fight time. Oh, y'all know y'all don't be wanting to fight. You know you don't be wanting to fight. I just seen little girls going to other little girls' house like, nah, she with the crew, you gotta fight. You with us. That little girl didn't want to fight. She just wanted to kick it. She wanted to smoke some, be in the little boys' faces. She wasn't really trying to be out there in it. She don't make her feel comfortable enough to say, you know, perhaps I can cover this area of the organization. I don't want to be in the physical part. You have to give people a chance to, you know, be themselves. Because you want somebody to accept you for who you are, right? And you got to get to know who you are. We know who we are conditioned to be. That's like you got some gangsters, you know, they tough in the street, but this man like lilies. But he don't want the streets to know that he like lilies. He should be free to get him some lilies. And I feel like he gonna be teased because he likes flowers. We have like bigger issues than, you know, little petty stuff, and us pointing out what isn't in line with our social norm. So when you always pretending and you always on guard, you are distrustful of others because you know that you lying. When I'm talking to a person, I feel like we are exchanging minds. I'm just like vibing with the flow. I'm not lying to you, so I'm not figuring that you lying to me. But a person who lies a lot all the time, they always figure that somebody or everybody is lying to them. Why? Because they always lying.
Game conscious.
For real. So, if you would pull back some, and then it's hard for them to see the good in the people who are comfortable with being themselves. Because now they wondering what you think you got going on about yourself that you comfortable being who you are. And I gotta do what? Put this mask on for them to like me. If you gotta put the mask on for them to like you, take that mask off and let them little people go on about their business. Because you are denying something that was given specifically to you. You don't know that little quirky thing that you do may be, leading to something that could really impact the world later on. But you allow somebody else to have that much power in your life that they suppressed the essence of you. Stop giving people that type of power over yourself. You can get the job done in a professional manner, being you. It's okay. Hug yourself. Every time you look and identify things about yourself that you're not crazy about, things about yourself that you may actually hate. Give yourself some loving. And make the decision to do something about it. To recondition yourself. To find out the source of the pain. The source of the denial. Seek outside help if you need to. But get comfortable being you. And I'm going to be my little self. And we finna go on break for a hot minute. I'm going to let all that marinate right here on the ChiLove radio show with Pop Radio Worldwide, iHeartRadio, and Spotify Premium. I'll be right back. I'm back.
I done did a lot. You ain't did shit at all.
Hey, welcome back to the ChiLove radio show on Pop Radio Worldwide, iHeartRadio, and Spotify Premium. We're talking about conquering fear of self. Fear of being yourself. Questions to ask yourself to go through so that you can, layer by layer, get to know every point of yourself, find out why you are like you are. And don't be afraid to seek professional help, additional help to help you get there. But you must do the work. You must do the work. And when you're not being yourself, not building up to who you are ordained to be.
I gotta say that real quick. I'm proud of you, man.
I'm proud of you.
You make me smile inside. I'm very proud of you.
Thank you.
Yeah, do your thing.
You're not. That's why a lot of times it be like relationship problems. You know that? Because you're not letting your partner see who you really are. Meet who you really are. And it's going to end up in self-alienation. Because sooner or later, you're going to push people off because you are not who you say you are. But you want the love and you want the affection. But something in you feels like you're not good enough. Feels like you will be judged. And you may be. You may be. But we have to get in alignment with what we need for us. What we want for us. Those people like to be accepted. Nobody really wants to be an outcast. And then you have a group of outcasts. And group, it's like everybody is a pool for each category. You want to be accepted by somebody. You want to feel that type of love. It's a beautiful thing, and you should. But you should not have to, deny who you are. You should not have to deny who you are to be accepted. Now, different strokes for different folks. And for example, if something like, it's summertime, you don't have a shirt on, you don't have shoes on because you stay right next door to the store. But you want to go into this store. And the store has a sign that says, no shoes, no shirt, no service. So in that moment, do you protest and start hollering and saying, I should still be able to come up in here with, no shirt and no shoes on because this is me being myself? No. You can respect that person's establishment and that person's rules within their establishment, and you respect that while still holding on to the essence of who you are. And you put your little shoes and your shirt on, and you go in there and you take care of your business, and as soon as you step out there, you can take the shirt off, take the shoes back off. But it's you have to just tap in, think with some stuff. And I know we got to work and we raise families and we running and building businesses and so forth, and people don't really have time for all that. But it'll be worth it because it's going to actually take you to where you want to be, or even greater place than where you thought you were going. Because now you are free to express yourself and to create and to be according to who you were ordained to be, not according to who the world told you you were, not according to who society told you that this is the only thing that you can do. So you're cheating yourself out of your birthright, which is to be a happy, free, unyielding individual who gives and receives in full measure. That sounds great. That's like a little utopia.
A utopia.
And the mass help you to lose your contact with it because, like I said, you're not truly governing yourself. It's like a monkey see, monkey do type of situation. Whatever the media says, whatever the music says, whatever your friends say, whatever big homie them say, you're trying to find yourself. And you don't know which way to go a lot of times. So you go according, a lot of times you go with the crowd. Especially if it seems like it's working for them. But how many people in that crowd are really being themselves? Can we not all walk as individuals in unity? And just respect who we are? And yes, there are social norms as far as like the way that you treat people. But the ability to express our individuality should be welcome. This is the United States. This is the melting pot. So much diversity here, and yet it's not really set up where people are comfortable being themselves. It's like people are getting prepped for the assembly line. And we have so much more that we could be accomplishing here. A lot of the issues that we have going on, the alcoholism, the drugs, the violence. You unhappy with yourself. You're unhappy. If only you could just be yourself and not feel attacked. You shouldn't have to feel attacked. Just be yourself. You shouldn't have to worry about what somebody's going to say about what you have on. Just be yourself. Wouldn't it be wonderful for you to be welcomed as yourself and loved as such? And we're going to continue to love you right here on the ChiLove Radio Show. Pop Radio Worldwide, iHeartRadio, and Spotify for Premium. And I'll be right back.
You want to do a favor real quick before we go to break, Melanie? You want to give us our hotline numbers real quick, take this little moment for and introduce Cold Hard Prince of Pain Manello joint after the hotline numbers.
Cold Hard Prince of Pain Manello?
Yeah, Manello. We're going to play that next. Your hotline numbers, you want to give it to them now?
Yes. The Chicago Rape Crisis Hotline, 1-888-293-2080. Between Friends, which is a domestic violence hotline, 1-800-603-4357. Alcohol and drug counseling, 1-800-234-0420. Of course, the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline, 1-800-273-8255. And I want y'all to vibe out to this song with Poppin' Cold Hard, Manello.
You are now listening to Mr. Dip Music.
Dolor con amor es mi sufrimiento. Y en el mar y las montañas te veo bien lejos.
Hey love, welcome back to the ChiLove Radio Show. iHeartRadio and Spotify Premium. We're going to get rid of what? The masks. Taking these masks off in 2020. You got a beautiful face. You don't need this mask. And we're finding out why we are afraid to be ourselves. Were we conditioned this way? Were we taught that we were not going to amount to anything? And a lot of times, you know, you have family and you do have friends. Yes, you got people who speak against you, but you got people who speak for you as well. And so you're positive, you're optimistic, right? And you're like, I'm gonna go get it. I'm gonna get out here and I'm gonna hit it. And you fall, man. You can face so much discouragement, so much disappointment. And according to you, you was trying to do the right thing. But this kept happening, that kept happening, these circumstances, these people, it's something. So much so that you started to feel helpless, like, I don't even have a say over my own life. And whatever just comes, I'm just gonna flow with it. Is that working for you? Do you find yourself spiraling deeper into the abyss because you're just flowing? Because you feel helpless? Well, I didn't want it to go this way and it went that way. Okay, yes, some things are outside of our power. But what we have the power to do is how we respond to it. How long we allow it to affect us. You know, we have to come out of this mindset of life is not black and white. You can have a good act and it's bad sprinkled in it. Let's say Robin Hood. He was robbing to feed the hood, right? So that was technically a good thing. But the bad thing was certain people took losses so that others could eat. And we shouldn't have to take from each other.
Say that again. Some people took
losses so that others could eat. It's enough out here for everybody. We don't have to oppress the next person in order for us to elevate. is more than enough. We just have to tap into our niche and do our thing. Get in your lane. And let your wings just fly out, baby. Do your thing. Do your thing. Just be free. I love being free, just like the idea of it, to be free. Not restricted by laws, not restricted by opinions, not restricted by even certain opinions of ourselves. Just be free. Now, are there consequences? Yes. Some that are beneficial, some that are not. We have to start to look at the fruits of our actions, the fruits of our words. If it's not yielding the effects that you would like, perhaps you can open up enough to find another way. So you can still get the job done.
Find another way.
You can't just let yourself be governed. We're governed by everything but ourselves. Our emotions, our desires, what other people are saying, our attitudes, our thoughts. I was in this mood, I was in this feeling, and it does impact us strongly. How we feel, it motivates us, it pushes us, it makes us fall back over certain things. So it does play a part. But when we are allowing it to play such a part that we are forgetting who we truly are, that we are moving further away from our purpose and our reason for even existing, maybe that's something to have a little talk with yourself. Maybe have a little professional assistance and go over to see, how can I deal with this in a way that would not cause more havoc? Now, if that is your intention to cause havoc, then there are consequences to that, and you need to G up. It all is what it is at that point. You can't keep going on, God knows my heart surely is good, but your behavior is so ugly, your words is so ugly, you ugly. But God knows. Well, we down here with you. And yes, technically, we all are your guys. You can look up in Psalms. They say, ye are gods and also my children, but everybody just haven't tapped in on their part. But see, down here on this earth, we playing with this tangibleness where we have to categorize everything. If God is knowing that your heart surely is good, but the people that you say you love are tormented, traumatized, feeling oppressed, feeling oppressed, is that really good for business? We have to learn how to govern ourselves. I hear these politicians, and you need a leader. Do we? Do we? You can't make up your own mind. You can't educate yourself to start to have a discussion so that you can make some decisions to see where you stand with it. And by the way, for those ladies who like to have discussions, especially regarding politics, you're more than welcome to join the ChiLove Policy Circle, where we have those type of discussions.
What's that?
The Policy Circle is an organization of women, so where a lot of us were born into the Democratic Party or born into the Republican Party, and again, it's something else governing us. So you can read these political briefs, actual briefs, and come to your own opinion, and we can sit down and have a discussion. That's something that I learned. We as people need to learn how to have discussions. We pop off too fast. We popping off too fast. We not sure which way we going. We not sure who we going with. Are we going to continue this? Or are we going to start to actually, as Michael Jackson say, look at the man in the mirror. Look at the woman in the mirror and find out what's going on with self first. And how can I play my part? My grandmama sent us to Catholic school when I was little. And they taught us that we're supposed to be productive citizens of society. We're supposed to be productive. Whereas some of my friends who went to certain public schools, they weren't given that message. They were not given that message. And yet, they have such a wonderful purpose, just like those who went to Catholic school. So let's all start to take these masks off. You know what? I'm gonna take the hair off. I just need to be free. I just need to be free. Join me. Let's be free together. I love y'all. Take your mask off. Take your hair off. I put this back together. I like these little things. I have some more. But right now, at this point, I just want to be free. My hair, my face, my body. My mind. And y'all tap into who you already are. And if that is part of you who like the wigs or like the whatever, accept that. And don't put on a facade that it's not. Walk in your truth. Find out who you are. And I'd love to meet you next week for the ChiLove radio show on Pop Radio Worldwide, iHeartRadio, and Spotify Premium.
I done did a lot. You ain't did shit at all.
Thanks for tuning in with ChiLove, your motivational podcast radio show.